Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Broke on advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the deck, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recon. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity. Flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gonna end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps and I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin, crypto, ecosystems. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be awesome, guys, because today the money printer is back. Yes, the Fed is looking like they are buying bonds. What does that mean? That means quantitative easing. If you don't know what quantitative easing is, look at 2021. We quantitative eased the entire time, guys, and I think we're about to get into an area of monetary policy where the Fed is buying bonds off the market, which basically means they're adding liquidity into the markets. A lot of people are going to feel really rich. That's going to trickle down, though, right? It's going to take a little while to trickle down. It's going to be a little bit. But the big thing is him saying it, right? The markets are forward looking. Him saying it is going to pump the markets. So we're really looking forward to him. I'm kind of thinking he's going to now after seeing this treasury news that we just seen. I'm expecting him to come out and say that we are in quantitative easing. We're just skipping the pause altogether. We're going right from tightening to easing, and that would actually be huge. And if he mentions a rate cut in June or August, that would be even better. So we are looking kind of dim this morning, but very, very normal for a day before the Fed meeting, right? So Jerome Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow at 2:30. At 2 o'clock, we're going to find out that he's not doing anything with rates. He doesn't surprise markets. It's not Jerome Powell's style. He's never have. He never will. Maybe a different Fed chairman, maybe, but not Jerome. He's going to come out. It's going to be exactly the same. But what he says at 2:30 is the most important part. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, guys. We have a lot to go over today. We're going to be digging into some market updates. We're going to get in. I found 2 virtual projects that haven't launched yet that looked really interesting. We're going to show them. We're going to get into, just about everything, just like normal. We do have at 12 o'clock, we got our great friends over at Artura joining us. So tune in for that. And guys, ask questions. This is a big deal because there's an airdrop opportunity for you. So learn as much as you possibly can for both Artura because they're on Hemi. And Hemi's giving that airdrop. So definitely check that out at 12. But before we get to that, let's kind of get our show started here and bring our partner here. As always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling today? How's everything going?
I feel great. I feel great. I have not felt like in despair or depressed or anything with any of this price action with Bitcoin. This is expected with the FOMC coming up. I'm excited for, this money supply to continue. Some countries, it's a little bit volatile with their money supply, but for the most, it's kind of still that up trajectory, right? And kind of the sneaky, purchasing of assets from the Fed, right? So that to me is also like maybe possibly he might get on the same page with the current administration. If that's the case, we could really end up in a more risk on environment sooner than later. And if that's the case, then, I know a lot of people listening in have bags in the Bitcoin ecosystem as well as outside of the Bitcoin ecosystem. And they're waiting for that moment as we are as well, right? So there's a lot of things to be excited about. Will it happen in a week? Probably not. Will it happen over the next, 3 to 5, 6 months? Absolutely. I think it will. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm still expecting 100K by Friday, right? I think that tomorrow's going to be super bullish, and that's going to lead for a couple days of bullishness at least. Maybe with a dip on the weekend, and then next week, there's really nothing really happening next week. So we're going to be a week of people deciding if they're going to get in or not, and the ones that choose to get in, they're early. The ones that decide not to, well, they're probably going to be buying the top. So, but we'll see. But let's kind of get into the thing that we found. So shout out Crypto Rover for this next thing here. So
My favorite guy.
So shout out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where he found this at, but this is Treasury News, Department of Treasury. So they are buying, guys. They bought $20 billion of a treasury. They haven't really bought any treasuries in over 2.5 years. They've been selling treasuries into the market. So we do know that Jerome Powell and his team are meeting today. Their meeting started at 9 a.m. And this could have been something that, in the meeting, they said, let's do this for whatever reason. Maybe it was an emergency, whatever. Or they're just starting the easing period today. And tomorrow they're going to let us know what is going on. But this looks like we're heading into a quantitative easing, right?
Looks like it. I don't know. Maybe there's this unique situation to where they would do this that we don't know about. But everything that I've, seen or research is once they start to do, start to purchase, it's really getting into a quantitative easing environment, as well as possibly bringing rates down as well. I don't think that happens for tomorrow, but who knows? Maybe they freaking pull a sleeve up. They have an ace up their sleeve. But if it's not tomorrow, possibly next month, right? Or the next time they have that decision to make. So all in all, another part of these catalysts snowballing into like a possible like avalanche of, positive environment for risk on. So I love seeing this. I want to say it's obviously kind of a big story on the timeline, but I hope this continues.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the money printer's back, right? I mean, we called this before it happened. You know what I mean? Like this day come out this morning, and yesterday we put this title up. So I don't know, man. Maybe we're just seeing the future here, or it's just inevitable, right? The money printer is coming, and if it hasn't started, then I think that I think tomorrow he's going to say it. I think he says quantitative easing. I think maybe he says because this is transitory because of all the tariffs, but we definitely want to get ahead of it. So we're starting the easing process. I mean, that right there would send the markets insane. I mean, they would go up and come back, right? Because that's how traders are. Traders trade volatility. So you would see giant ups come down and then on its way back up again in like this pattern that we kind of seen Bitcoin dominance be in. But I think dominance has peaked as well. We'll get into that a little later.
Yeah. And one last thing before we move on to the next topic here is, let's say that Jay Powell decides, hey, let's get into this environment. That could influence the current administration to say, hey, let's kind of like, speed race some of these deals that we feel like are going to be closed anyways with these countries. Let's make that whole conversation a lot more positive. And then, the market really starts to like what it sees. And that could totally change the trajectory in terms of timeline and say, hey, we don't have to wait for 3 months. We can speed things up here in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So that would be awesome if that was the case, but we'll see. I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah, I'll count them for you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, great answer right there for sure. Moving along though, SEC delays decision on Canary's spot Litecoin ETF, and I found a really good tweet because originally I was like, what the hell? But then it appears Canary Fund's Litecoin ETF has moved into the next phase. Bitcoin went through the same thing. Remember that Bitcoin kept getting delayed? It was like September delay, October delay. It was January, finally got passed, right? So Bitcoin went through the same thing a few months before it received approval. It may be delayed, but the one and only cryptos this far into the process, next deadline is 60 days. So this guy is basically saying that he thinks that the Litecoin ETF could get passed in the next one, right? So it got delayed 60 days, which basically takes us to the end of June, early, maybe July. And so for that. So, but what do you think about this Litecoin actually getting delayed here from Canary Funds? The first one to get delayed with the new SEC chairman.
Was there any details of why it got delayed? Was it an administrative type of error or anything to go back and fix this and that? Because that's what they would use before, if you remember.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm assuming, because I don't think they're going to be, this negative, boogeyman anymore about approving ETFs or anything like that. So it's probably just either, need to get some of their paperwork in order and, just redo some of the things or update some more information possibly. But I'd love to know what the feedback was for, the delay. But I agree with you. I don't know if you said this, but I think that, this SEC is not going to be, this like huge freaking hammer that just comes down on our space anymore. But they, you do have to get all the details right whenever you do something big like this.
Yeah, for sure. And it could just be Canary Capital. They have a pudgy penguin as their
I love it.
So they are definitely in the ecosystem for sure. But yeah, so we'll see. I haven't gotten anything reasons why, but what I was reading was the delays happen all the time, especially when you have a new SEC chairman who really just kind of sat down at his desk. But again, I don't think they're gonna pick a winner. And when I say pick a winner, I mean they're not going to just say Litecoin ETF and then we're going to a month later Solana ETF. They're going to pack these all up together. So maybe that's it as well. Maybe they're waiting, doing their due diligence. So let's just say like a 5-bagger, right? Whereas Solana, Litecoin, Dogecoin, who else, right? In that pile of blue chips, right? That actually kind of get pushed on that first. I guess it'll be second, right? It's the second big altcoin because Ethereum has an ETF.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I probably won't pick winners, but I think reputation and the strength of the asset is gonna probably give a little bit of favoritism, I would assume.
Yeah.
But I was curious whenever you showed that X account, because when I saw that pudgy penguin, I was like, this is awesome. But they won't do that on their LinkedIn profile. But I was wrong. They definitely have the pudgy penguin on their LinkedIn profile.
Wow. So, okay.
Times is a changing is what I'm getting from this, right? So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Probably not going to pick any favorites here. But searching out, there's going to be maybe some issues with some of these tokens that try to get ETFs through. Maybe they'll say, hey, we got to review it more and more like that. But from a broad perspective, I think they're going to play it fair.
Yeah, 100%. And I kind of dug in a little bit further because I needed stuff for today. So I dug in and I realized Bloomberg does a predictions thing. They give you kind of a percent, like an odds of approval. So let me actually show that real quick because that'll kind of give us a little bit more insight into what they're thinking. So baskets and indexes, Grayscale, Bitwise, hash rate. So what they want to do is basically take a bunch of miners and like MSTR, which is MicroStrategy, and a bunch of different ones, and put them in kind of an index, right? Maybe the crypto 30 or whatever it is, right? So there's a 90% of that getting approved. The final SEC deadline is July 2nd, right? So, and then we've seen the Litecoin, right? Canary was the first one, Grayscale, CoinShares. It was filed January, and they're saying the deadline now is 10/2. Right, so which is October for all three of these together. Canary was the first, so that could actually be the first. So likely, yes, 90% chance of a Litecoin ETF. Then you see Solana with Grayscale, VanEck, 21 shares, Canary, Bitwise, and Franklin, 90%. Same thing in October. XRP, basically the same ones. You want to add in Wisdom Tree and CoinShares for that one, but still. 85% for XRP, Dogecoin 80%, Cardano 75%, Polkadot 75%, HBAR, which shocked me, 80%, and Avalanche. Got to remember who is doing this. This right here, this is the guys over at Bloomberg, right? These aren't like, these are TradFi guys saying HBAR, Avalanche, and Polkadot, which kind of shocked me.
Yeah, and look, if you look at these dates, the final SEC deadline date is October, with November, and Avalanche being the latest. And that says final SEC deadline, so they can approve it before then. But a lot of this is lining up for a crazy blow off the top Q4, and to your credit, you had mentioned one of the triggers for alt season could be a lot of these ETFs really getting approved and going live around the same time. And I can't remember what analyst had mentioned this, but I saw it on my crypto Twitter timeline. But she agreed. She said, "Hey, look, a lot of these ETFs for the alt markets are lining up kind of perfect for this, Q4 explosion."
Yeah.
And so this could definitely be a part of it, right? And you already have the catalyst kind of building that big snowball up and stuff like that. And then with this, it just kind of builds on top of it. So this is exciting. And those percentages are seem to be, what I would think in the range. Obviously, not exactly to the number.
HBAR, really?
Yeah.
I would like 40.
Well, no, the reason why is because HBAR is established, though. You have to think about it. Like, they've been around for a while. Yes, they do kind of fall into the, ISO 222, whatever, that whole kind of in that CBDC bucket where the government has control. But they probably eased a little bit on that. But Cardano was also in that as well, right? So I think HBAR, has a lot of it does. You can look at their website; they have a lot of backing by like corporations, Samsung, those kind of corporations, like financial institutions as well. So that doesn't surprise me that much, honestly. But they're just not talked about that much, right? In our space, and I think it's because it's more institutional talkings about who's interested in that. So yeah, this is exciting for Q4. We've said it for going on probably almost 6 months to 8 months that Q4 of 2025 is that the big dance, the grand finale, and maybe not the grand finale, but like a big leg up, big alt market kind of thing, and who knows what 2026 is going to have in store for us.
Yeah, 100%. But HBAR being 80% and Avalanche, Polkadot, and Cardano 75. I mean, that's shocking. I mean, come on. I know you're kind of talking about HBAR probably a little bit more than I have because I didn't even know they had stuff with Samsung and stuff like that. But I mean, Cardano and Polkadot over HBAR, that's shocking to me. That's shocking.
Yeah, but we're talking about a 5% swing, right?
Yeah.
I think once you get to that 75% mark, it's kind of, you feel like it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? They did mark them lower than the 90% for a reason.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, like, just because these get accepted and approved in October does not mean the prices cannot run. The markets are forward looking. The SEC comes out and says, "Hey, we're probably going to approve these in Q4. We're just waiting on the proper due diligence." Boom, dude, it's like it happened. Like, markets are that forward looking to where it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news, right? 100%. They're going to buy the rumor all the way up until it's legit on the stock market, right? It's actually trading on E-Trade. It's trading on all these different places. That's when you'll probably see a sell the news event. But I'm actually excited for the buy the rumor, which could start potentially at any point, any day. The SEC can come out and say, "Yeah, we're waiting. We're going to put them all out together."
Yeah, because there could be a headline saying, "Hey, look, these are the ones lined up for our next review, et cetera, et cetera." Yeah. And we have more reason to think than not that they would be more, positive towards not putting every single ETF through 3 to 5 rounds like the previous SEC. So yeah.
They also don't want to pick a winner either, right? I think that's a big thing there, and so, but we'll see. Moving along here, over 450 million in assets were bridged to Solana from other chains in April. Ooh. That's a substantial amount of money. Why do you think people are moving their assets back into Solana, especially after we saw February. It was a huge out. Stuff was going into fandom, stuff was going into base, and so on and so on. But why do you think it's coming back now?
Because I think they probably expected opportunities similar to January, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to remember that a lot of assets came out first of different chains during that period of the whole Trump coin and the other ones that followed afterwards, Libra and some of these other ones. And so look, some people made some huge life-changing money during that period. And so I think they were, wanting to hit big on some of these opportunities, but I don't think it stays that way. There's definitely different approaches that some of these other launch pads, whether it's meme coin launch pads or AI launch pads, we see it with virtuals right now. I love what they're doing. They're trying to have more substance to these coins that are launching, and their Genesis launches versus their prototype launches, which is actually kind of like memes anyways, right? They're like AI memes. But, and so, Pump Fund's getting some competition that I think it's going to become more and more stiff. Like, you know what I mean? To where people are going to say, hey, it's less risky over here, better chances of me having success over, longer period of time versus, putting my money in the slot machines and hoping to win. And so right now, I think people did think that at first, and then slowly, I think it's going to trickle back out, kind of similar to what you said happened when they started moving to Sonic and Base and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think the 9 new launch pads that are over there, that some of them are saying they're going to do airdrops and stuff like that, do you think people are you think they're gambling with this money? Like, I just don't see it.
I think some people are, but also you have to remember too that there's the cabals, right? And so the cabals also they move in large sums, right? So they probably move some over to say, hey, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna what's our next move here? That could be a lot from them. But maybe there isn't really a next play as much as there was in the beginning of this year. And I actually am in that boat to where I don't think that there's going to be a ton of, huge meme coin plays necessarily on Solana. Maybe some of the established ones from before. We saw that with Fartcoin. Fartcoin did very well. Stuff that's established, you can trust a little bit, like with their foundation. But what I'll go back to this. I think that it doesn't stay there and people are going to start venturing off into new things.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Sol Strategies, they're a Canadian company. They deploy full 20 million from ATW deal to acquire 122,000 Sol at an average price of $148 each. So we have our Solana MicroStrategy right now purchasing it seems like every week they're purchasing more and more Solana. They're doing deals with companies like they did with ATW. I'm not sure what ATW is. It's another company though, and they're acquiring a massive amount of Sol. I mean, 122,000 Sol, that's a lot of Sol. I mean, for sure, it's $20 million worth, but yeah,
it is a lot of Sol, and they're probably trying to just position themselves. But I wouldn't be surprised if I would actually. I assume this is going to happen. They're going to probably take some big profit once the alts have got close to peaking, right? Is Solana a long-term play? Most likely. It is just because there's a lot of institutions invested in it. Could something really bad happen? Absolutely. We've seen it with them before. Whenever we knew that FTX had a lot of stake in Solana and Solana crashed all the way to like $11 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, I think they're playing it for this cycle. Something like that same strategy that MicroStrategy uses, that's tough in terms of anything outside of Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Ethereum, you're still kind of, have a little worried, energy because of what's happened with their volume on layer 1. But probably if I were to pick, it would probably be Ethereum would be that next safest asset for the long term. The one that's newer that seems to be really challenging that second spot is probably Tau. Tau's getting a lot of attention for the AI. They're calling it the Bitcoin of AI. 21 million supply, a lot of subnets and stuff like that. So this is a cycle play that they're doing, but that's just kind of from the surface level, me not super diving into Sol Strategies. Their name is Sol Strategies, right? So they must believe in it long term, but I wouldn't be shocked they take profit here. Same with Pump Fund. All that Solana that's going to be that they're sending over to Kraken or wherever they're sending it to, they're going to be taking a big profit, I imagine, towards the peak of the cycle.
But think about it though. I mean, we're both saying Bitcoin's going to hit, at least 300K this year, right? Between 200 and 300. So if you're sitting there, your sole strategy is you're like, hey, even at $200, that's a huge win, right? So it's like, I think getting into any cryptocurrency right now, especially pre-ETF like Sol is right now, I think it's genius. I think these are amazing moves. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Cardano. I don't care if it's Avalanche. I think these are genius moves made by risk on guys. I mean, Soul Strategy is definitely risk on. You don't go into Solana with $20 million unless you have a risk management of being risky, right? So I don't know. I love this move, and I hope more companies adopt this strategy. Maybe not with Solana, but maybe with something else.
Yeah, but think about if you were in their position or another entity that is getting heavy into Solana, and we're kind of peaking, right? And ETFs approve, and it jumps up to, let's say it jumps up to like $1,200, $1,500, whatever. I don't know, right? Do you take a good chunk of that profit, put it into stable, let the cycle kind of pull back a little bit, get into Bitcoin, or something like a move like that? Or do you say, okay, I'm just going to ride it, I believe in Solana for long term, I'm going to write it down for the next 10, 15, 20 years?
It's hard, man, because like the longer and longer we wait for this bull market to really begin, the longer I believe this bull market's going to last, right? So I feel like we're a coil, and I don't think it's going to be this quick smash up that everyone's kind of thinking. I think a lot of people are going to get hurt on the way up because they're going to sell too early. I think we could potentially get really bullish all the way into next year, maybe a little bit in 2027, for the sense of better times are going to be on us, right? I think right now we're kind of thinking recession because of what Trump's doing with the tariffs, but this is just a short-term thing, right? I think this is just delaying the inevitable, and the more and more we delay the inevitable, the more and more we're going to get into the super cycle that I truly believe we're going to be in. We could go. I mean, these numbers could go all the way up for a long time. Maybe we don't get that Solana from 122 to 1,500, right? But maybe we get 300, 500. 700, all in the course of the next 2 years, a slow grind up. And that's the more and more that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And I think getting in any pre-ETF crypto right now, if you think that crypto is going to get an ETF, I think it's genius.
Yeah, and I do accept the fact that we're most likely going to, start to go into this new norm. The 4-year cycle is not going to look the same. I am in that camp. Because with ETFs, more stability, more of, okay, this is my ongoing portfolio that's constantly live and ongoing. But I do think that people are going to be smart and take some profit to get, pay off some debts and stuff like that. But also, if that's the case, and it's a constant, like, ongoing, now we're in a different type of, yes, every 4 years, you'll still have the halving. Maybe you get a little bump from Bitcoin and some energy. But if it is the new norm, then you'll always have more opportunity. And you do, in a sense, but instead of having to wait another 4 years for that big opportunity, that could happen in 6 months. That could happen in 8 months. That could happen in a year, because it's a new industry now with all the players involved. So a new opportunity can pop up any week, any day, kind of situation.
Yeah, you got to remember too, people thought the same about tech stocks, right? A lot of people, when you saw Amazon just get destroyed and went down to like $10-15 in the year 2000, 2001, and then people were buying it at like $100. Imagine buying it at $148 and selling it at like $1,200, and then a year later, which was like 2021, 2022. I mean, Amazon stock's like $2,800, right? So it's like, I think we're gonna get into an area, especially with these chains. Maybe not with like meme coins and shit like that, but we're gonna get with these chains that are actually doing billions of dollars in value a day. Like, we could get to that point, right? I think at that point, you're probably gonna look at some of these and be like, "Damn, I sold way too early," no matter what price you got out of.
Yeah, that's a point though that I don't want to. I want to get away from that. Like the emotional, damn, I sold too early, or damn, I regret, or I did this, or I did that. I want to be like, like stable and say, okay, I'm making smart decisions consistently. And over time, you look back and you're like, this empire is kind of built up of being calm, cool, and collective. and not looking back and saying, you know, damn, I had now I have like so much FOMO because I sold too early, or I regret this in my journey and all these things. Because I think that happens a lot with people that feel like they missed the cycle up top or whatever, right?
Well, my point is, don't get out of your Googles, don't get out of your Amazons, don't get out of your stuff. Maybe get out of your Intel. Find the ones that are going to really win. Find the Google, find the Amazon, find the tech stocks that really win continuously, right? Maybe it's just not Bitcoin and that's it. Maybe it's we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and so on that are actually the blue chips, and maybe you don't sell your blue chips. You know how people are saying, don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't sell your Bitcoin. It's stupid. Maybe we get to an area where some of these altcoins become unsellable as well because they're going to do really well, you know? So it's kind of what I'm thinking.
I do think we get to that point eventually. How long does that take? Who knows? But like, for example, like Google was a lot easier to assess in 2008 than it was in 2002 in terms of like your portfolio. You know what I mean? You like at that point, if you started in 2006, 7, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to continually add a little bit every time I kind of like how people decided to get into Bitcoin a little bit later. They would just dollar cost average, right? Starting from like 2017, 2018, 2019, and they're in a good spot right now. So
you could see the same thing with Sol though. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think there's going to be multiple assets that we call, maybe you don't sell that one, but hey, your dog whiff, get rid of that. It's peaked. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
All right, moving along though. But either way, I mean, you know, I think if you get out of it and get into Bitcoin, it's very safe. It's like getting out of, you know, something very risky and getting into stuff. So everything's very risky here, especially being so centralized as Solana is. But again, we're going to have blue chips. We're going to have really, really big products coming out of this ecosystem. It's just which ones.
Yep.
All right, next thing here, Standard Chartered Bank predicts BNB will reach 2,775 by 2028. So Standard Chartered isn't like your little guy, right? Standard Chartered, they're massive, and they're predicting BNB to be $2,700. BNB is like what, 600, maybe 500 right now. This is insane. I saw this and I was like, what? So we just talked about potential blue chips. Can BNB be one of those blue chips?
It's a blue chip.
Maybe you don't sell.
Yeah, it's a blue chip right now. I think that like and I'm actually not shocked by that price because we're talking about 3 years from now. You're talking about Bitcoin in 2028 is probably going to be over $1 million, don't you think? Or at least like knocking on that door, if not.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, then BNB is going to at least quadruple, right? And so that would be close to this target. BNB has been around for a while. It's the East like blue chip, right? It's the blue chip of the East. And you see the current administration, you see the people in charge or in the US that have to do with crypto, they're being friendly to the East crypto companies, BNB, Tron. So I expect BNB to thrive. I think it's going to be a strong blue chip in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I would put that up there, right up there with Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Yeah, I would definitely 100%. Last thing here, Mega Bank, Citi Bank and Swiss Digital Assets Exchange, SDX Global, are teaming up to tokenize a multi-billion-dollar, this is it right here, pre-IPO shares market. So we've never had anything like this because you need to be an accredited investor to be able to buy pre-IPO, which basically means before they go public. But Citi and Swiss Digital are like, no, not anymore. Now you can just buy a tokenized version. So for instance, SpaceX, they haven't done an IPO. Circle has not done an IPO. Imagine being able to buy them pre-IPO. Obviously, it's a gamble, but you know, if SpaceX ever goes public, if Circle ever goes public, which we think they will, then you potentially could make out like a bandit on these.
Whew. So my big question right off the bat, off the top of my head, is how are they going to gatekeep this? Because, you know, I know that you just mentioned before you had to be accredited investor, all these things. Are they still going to have some sort of, you know, I guess like, I don't know, steps for you to be able to enter this? You know, I mean, we see in the crypto space, whenever there's something that's like a, you know, pre-sale or something, you have to know somebody to get in, all those kind of things. I imagine that there's gonna be a lot of people that would want to get into something like this from the crypto space too. That'd be like, oh shoot, like tokenized pre-IPO for SpaceX or something big like that. They're gonna rush to this, in my opinion, I would think. But not everybody can win, right? So, what do you think? How do you think that this is handled from like TradFi entering in the token digital, you know, token assets for pre-IPO type of sale or event.
Yeah, 100%. I do think this starts off as KYC, where maybe I'm not eligible, but somebody with 300, $400,000 in assets is eligible. But David Sachs, he's somebody who on the All In podcast, he was saying he wants to get away from the credit investor area and wants to get into more of a test base. If you can pass this test, you are eligible to invest. That's kind of his slogan on the All In podcast. So I'm actually down with that. I would actually, if I'm able to pass a test, and the test is basically, he says, real simple, but it's basically going to let you know that, hey, your money is at risk here. And you just want someone off the street. It's basically you're signing your signature. That's all his test is. You're signing your signature saying, I understand these rules. And so I love it. And I love that David Sachs is got in Trump's ear for potentially this. So yes, I do think it's going to start off KYC. I'm not going to be eligible, but maybe, a year from now, maybe that's different.
It's kind of replicating what they had before, except for this new financial system, and the winners are us, right?
Yeah.
And because we know how DeFi works, and we know how this new system works. And if you know how this new system works, you're going to be able to pass this test, I imagine. But there's so many billions of people in this world that aren't interested in crypto, just because, same like how it was before with TradFi. There's tons of people that weren't interested in TradFi, or they just didn't have that extra motivation or ambition to learn it. And so it's kind of like, your effort and your interest and your passion are going to pay off, in my opinion. So if this happens, we end up winning, kind of like how those accredited investors won before. So it kind of works out for the people here. For the overall, population of the earth, I would say get involved with crypto, learn it, so you can be a part of this. And it's a fair game in that aspect. If you don't have interest in it, you don't have passion, like that's like me. I don't have interest in gardening. My wife does, though, a ton. But I just go out there once in a blue moon just because she really wants to show me like a rose or something, But I would never enter a rose growing competition or anything like that, right? So, but the opportunity is there for me to do that if I wanted to, and so I think that's kind of where this is going to go, and that's exciting for us. But I would say take advantage of that, guys. If you're listening in, you're new, just try to learn more. And look, if you can spark up a passion or just interest in crypto and DeFi, I would say go for that.
Yeah, 100%. But you got to think this is an area now. Let's just say they don't allow people, uncredited investors, right? But I can do a third party. I can buy it for you. You go to my site, you're buying it. I'm holding it on their site, right? Yeah. I'm trusting this company, but there's fees involved, right? There's a company that can be created to go buy this stock or go buy this IPO for me, and on their site show me that I own that thing, and I can get in and get out whenever I want. Just so if I sell, they sell. Right. So there's ways around this as long as this exists. So,
yeah.
All right. I do want to get into one thing really quickly before we get into the fear and greed stuff. So this is the amazing chart from our boy Colin. If you don't know who Colin Talks Crypto is, you guys are living under a rock. He is one of the few people who had this chart 3 months ago. We were looking at this chart back here, like January, February, when it was like just breaking through. But this chart has been the most accurate chart that I've ever seen ever. Right. I mean, even this has been pretty damn accurate. So this is a global M2 money supply offset 80 days. So we're 80 days away potentially. This is where we are right now. We're 80 days potentially away from 160. Do you think we continue this? He did show these red boxes where there is a lot of sideways. So in this, it kind of predicts us kind of getting to 120 right at the end of May. And June's very sideways, with the end of June being very, very bullish. And then July is very kind of sideways as well. Do you still believe in this chart?
I do. I believe in it because I saw it happen last Q4. It was a shorter, M2 uptrend, but it still was an uptrend, and Bitcoin followed it almost to a T. This one's extended, it seems like. And so in that June pullback, or whenever that happens, dude, that's going to be like expected anyways, right? Because it's never up only for anything. And then you're going to have your market makers and your centralized exchanges look to liquidate, and kind of, that's the perfect time for that to happen, right? Everybody's falling in love with up only. You get to 120, and then bam, comes in and liquidates you. So be careful in those situations, guys, because nothing is up only or down only, for that matter, ever.
Yeah, 100%. But there's a push up coming. It's looking like it's actually we maybe started it. So maybe by the end of the week we get to 104. Maybe next week we get to 108, and then that big one, that jump from 96 potentially, or what's that, 104? Yeah, from 104 all the way up to about 120 before we get some sideways, or 128 before we get some sideways. I mean, I see this happening. I mean, this is in my playbook right now. Like, I am playing this chart. So really looking forward to at least the next 3-4 weeks. So
yes, sir. It's exciting times, guys. You guys deserve it.
100%. Let's get into that fear and greed. We used the Binance fear and greed chart for this. So wow. Okay. So last week we're at a 60. Yesterday we're at a 52. We're a tiny bit lower than last week's 60. That's my hint for you today.
58.
Right on 59, right there. We are sitting there right now at 59. I'm feeling bullish, dude. I love this number. I wasn't expecting this number. I mean, we were a little higher in number. No, not really. Bitcoin's about to be right at 95 again. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm bullish, dude.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into it in a second, but like the Bitcoin price action today is interesting, but I think a lot of it has to do with maybe some speculation of, we saw the Fed starting to acquire more assets, and maybe they're speculating on what he's going to say tomorrow. So we'll see.
Yeah. 100%. All right, Leo, you mentioned it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles, brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, these guys are building something really special with on Hemi. That is their L2 that they chose. They potentially could be on other L2s, but in the beginning, on the first couple days, they will be on Hemi. And that's an opportunity for a lot of you airdrop chasers like myself, because not only by using Artura.finance will you get the Artura airdrop, but you will also get the Hemi airdrop potentially. It's not official that they'll have a coin, but they are backed by Binance, and Binance normally gets in assets with coins. So that's absolutely huge, guys. So this is an opportunity for everybody who watches the show, everyone. We're lucky enough to have these guys joining us in about 18 minutes. So if you're in the chat and you want to put some questions in there for the team, because it's time for you to do your due diligence, and you can do it live on our show. That is the opportunity that we're giving you guys, and we really appreciate you guys. Go check out Artura.finance.
Absolutely. And before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. On the X side, guys, share the space. We want to onboard as many people to the crypto space, on chain, and to the Bitcoin ecosystem as possible. Let's get into some Bitcoin price action here, starting with the hour chart. And this is what I mean by the price action is a bit something I wasn't really expecting to be so aggressive on the upside here. It is playing off of kind of that downtrend that we had, playing overnight into the morning. But I really truly think that a lot of people are speculating on what possibly could come out of that FOMC meeting tomorrow. But also don't get tricked, because this could be Wintermute just trying to pump the price up here just so they could dump on you tomorrow. Because regardless what he says, there's going to be volatility once the FOMC starts and leading up to it. It's volatile. I learned to stay away from leverage when that meeting is coming up. But let's take a look at what we got in store for today. You can see the MACD is showing some positive price action. We are starting our buy pressure. It isn't a huge green candle here, but it's something. We've got started here. You can see the stochastic RSI as well as kind of heading towards that overbought position, just kind of a magnet to the 80-point mark there. I expect it to be a little bit with chop with a little bit of upside, probably from, as I mentioned before, that news of the Fed acquiring some more assets. We'll see if there's going to be a continuation of that, but maybe we get back to 95 today, low 95,000s. Maybe that continues, but I will say for sure, I feel like whatever we get to today, let's say it gets hyper aggressive to the upside, we get back to 96,000 maybe. Tomorrow, I do expect some volatility, so I am going to be watching on the sidelines for this and just kind of seeing what's happening throughout the rest of today and early tomorrow. I actually I'm going to be looking for what happens about an hour to 2 hours, an hour to 4 hours after the FOMC meeting to see kind of how the market restabilizes, because up until then, there's going to be a little bit of volatility. I can assure you that. So that's what I see for the hour chart for Bitcoin. So a little bit of choppiness to the upside, possibly 95,000, 5 for the second half of today. The 4-hour chart looks pretty good. Honestly, the setup looks really great. And these are very high level indicators, like leading indicators. So these are, indicators that you would use. They're kind of basic, right? Going to give you a little bit of a forecast on where it's possibly heading. And the hour chart's really giving the 4-hour chart reason to kind of close out of the sell pressure, right? We just started the buy pressure on the hour chart. The 4-hour chart looks like it wants to close up the sell pressure and start buy pressure. We're not going to get that unless things go kind of what I said. We get back to that 95.5, 96 possibly. Then we'll close this up. But this does not mean for the next 2 days we're going to have a consistent upside of price action because, like I mentioned before, tomorrow's FOMC, right? So this is where this can be a bit misleading here. Even if we do close up, we start a green candle today, I would say, me personally, I'm like I mentioned to you guys, I'm taking a step back and watching how the price action goes tomorrow, leading up until about 4 hours after the FOMC, and then I'll revisit this chart to see if it matches kind of where it's heading right now. If that's the case, then I will be bullish for the rest of Wednesday, Thursday, and heading into the weekend. And we could get that, $100,000 price point over the weekend, or if it happens over the weekend, probably happen on Sunday or the start of next week. So regardless, I am bullish with the price action of Bitcoin for the next month and a half, 2 months, because of the M2 money supply. I do think we'll get a chop, probably, some period of pullback before the big Q4 run up. But anyways, going back to the 4-hour here, it looks like the setup's good. Got to wait till tomorrow, guys, in my opinion, to see what happens with the volatility and what Jerome Powell comes out and says. The weekly chart for Bitcoin is looking great. We did start the week off with a red candle for the weekly candle, but we are back in the green, which I like to see, but that might not stay that way depending on tomorrow, right? Regardless, I think we end the week with a green candle though. And so we are right there, almost to that 75-80% mark of the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. So after tomorrow, I'm going to be able to feel like very, very good about where we're heading on the weekly chart. I already feel really good with this leg up here. You can see once there's like a major leg, major green candle, it's typically followed up with another one. Even with, the break of the red candle in between, you can see with that M2 money supply catalyst, along with what Jerome Powell sneakily doing, adding assets for the Feds, adding assets, right? We could go into QE, M2 money supply. The current administration could say, hey, it's time to play nice. Bam, bada beam, bada boom. We could be heading right to those new all-time highs for Bitcoin here in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So I love where we are. I love the setup on the MACD. I love the setup on the stochastic. I love where we are in the candles of the weekly. We are looking great, guys. All right, so the others chart, weekly chart, not looking as good as Bitcoin, but as I mentioned, every time we go over this, it's expected, because this is, first of all, everything besides Bitcoin in the top 10, the blue chips. But so you're talking about 11 through all the rest, right? So some blue chips in there for sure, some majors, but mid caps, majority, micro caps. This is not going to really take off until we start to get to that all-time high with Bitcoin and get aggressive, and then a chill point, and then fast track happens, I think, right? We do need to be on a risk on environment for that to happen though. So, all those things I just mentioned, the catalyst, the M2, that's coming. The stuff that I think is really going to push alt season forward is going to be the administration making nice, trade getting good, those kind of things. Possibly this new bill getting passed with these tax cuts for no tax on tips and all that kind of money given back to the middle class and stuff like that. So that's what would be put us into this risk on environment, plus the ETFs too. That's another thing too. Then we can really kind of boom up here on the weekly chart. But I'm happy with where we are, even though there's a couple red candles there, because this is what is pretty much expected here. So that's where we are, guys, for the others on the weekly. The crypto bubbles aren't looking great on the daily, but that's because, again, alts are delayed behind Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin just made this push up today. If Bitcoin has a good day tomorrow, I expect really green bubbles on Thursday, right? So if we get through FOMC, fine, no crashes on Bitcoin or anything like that, volatility is not too crazy. then I expect the bubbles to be probably green on Thursday morning, and Friday for sure. So, this is stuff that sticks out to me, I guess, is kind of pointing out some of these meme coins. You see Trump coin down 4.6%. Virtual's down 8.4%. That's a little bit more than I expected, actually, because they've been getting a lot of attention. But maybe it's like I said, it's a little bit of delayed behind Bitcoin. Hyperliquid up 2.6%, so must be some decent news with that. But yeah, this is temporary. I just think it's a delayed kind of reaction to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's pumping today. It's been kind of falling the past couple days, so this is just a catch-up kind of situation. So we'll see how Bitcoin performs tomorrow through the FOMC, and then I think Thursday, if it performs like how I think it will, Thursday these should be green. So,
and it's funny because the ones that are red are the ones that really pumped the hardest, right? Going into this little mini cycle that we're in. So virtuals, I mean, you remember it was 80 cents, 50 cents at one point, and now it's at $1.70 yesterday, now down to $1.50. Like these are moves of people taking profit. These are traders doing trader games. I'm not worried about any of these drops because a lot of the ones that have dropped, I'm talking about the ones 5 to 10%, like the Aptos and the virtuals. They really ran hard these last I want to say last couple of weeks. So it is actually a really good cool off, honestly. It probably makes the chart look really, really good. Sonic as well. So Sonic is something that I think that is really being held down right now. I think Sonic's one of the more powerful chains. It doesn't have that killer dApp. That's the only problem. It doesn't really have anything to really push in fees because the fees are so low. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But Polygon, same thing. It ran kind of hard over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking for Fartcoin because Fartcoin was, oh, there it is. Okay, Fartcoin's still in the green, barely at 0.3%, because Fartcoin was like the #1 performer for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
You know what we call that? Silent but deadly, bro.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's a perfect breakdown for Fartcoin right now at that 0.3% increase. So nothing to worry about. As I said, this is just a natural pullback after Bitcoin had been pulling back for the past 3 days. So that's what we got, guys. Hopefully that helps you guys out. Obviously, none of this stuff is financial advice. It's for you guys to be able to research and all that great stuff.
Yep. This is vibe advice, guys. It's vibe advice. No, it's not advice. No, I'm just kidding. Do you like the term vibe coding? I don't know. It feels cringe a little bit to me.
Yeah, I guess they had to think of something because it's the true developers that grind it out manually in every aspect can have not be too upset and stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like calling the people who launch Pump Fund tokens devs.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's jump to the first is first roll call here. So first is first, Lucky Lukey. Congratulations, my friend. You have win number 13 on the year. Congratulations to you, man. Today's your day. Congratulations. WebDraw won yesterday. Lucky Lukey won on Friday. Lucky Lukey won last Wednesday as well. You had 3 wins last week. You are on a mission, brother, and we appreciate you for sure. Shout out to you, my friend. All right. Let's kind of get into the rest of the roll call here. We got Lucky Lukey says the frog printer is back. Danny Boy at D-Block says nice. He's like, I'm at work, but I'm still going to be coming for that frog. He's coming for it. Danny's back to work, and he's back to he still got it. I believe in Danny. PJNZ, he said that's what she said. Rare Sats Dom is here. Print. Yes, let's go. Chief Axel is here. Let's go, Chief Axel. Moon Yacht Club. Shout out to you, my friend. I think it's your first time here. Do you remember Moon Yacht Club? I don't remember seeing that one. But
I don't think so.
Shout out to you, my friend. First time making roll call. 1+@ is here. Shout out to you every single day now. It feels like Mempool Punk every day. Bitmap Capital. Long time. It's been a while, but thank you so much for being here today. Vader Time is here. Bitcoin is Truth is here. All the way from France. Guys, I'm curious where you guys are from. Just put it in the chat. I would love to know where you guys are from in the chat. Let us know if you're in the US, if you're in France, if you're in Germany. I'm just curious. I was actually looking at the some of our analytics, and there's a lot of you guys that are all across the world, and it's really awesome. I'd love to know. Goose Honk is here. Shout out to Goose Honk. Super Fan is here. Glasshopper. He says, I think YouTube deleted my comment. I'm going to switch clans, so I pursue Shizzy. Earlier, I said a different word. that YouTube probably doesn't like. I didn't know YouTube was just out there deleting comments.
Yeah. So that's where the Reaper comes from, guys. I believe now that Glasshopper has kind of confirmed this. So probably if you're trying to be first is first, don't have anything in the comment that you think would get flagged by YouTube, because that's where the Reaper comes in and says, okay, I'm cleaning it up.
Maybe that's what it is. Okay. But yeah, Glasshopper, to your comment as well, we will be going live, guys, at 3 p.m. Eastern time for our weekly game with Foxy. You guys can come hang out with us, play, try to find us in the world, in the metaverse, and kind of, if you're on our team, awesome, we can roll together. Glasshopper, man, switch teams. I mean, I've been like, I had your back, bro. I had your back. I was getting dubs because of you, so I appreciate. I'm gonna miss you, bro. If you're not on my team, but shout out to you, my friend. KDN is here. Cheaty is here. He said, "What's up, guys?" Shout out to Cheaty, man. Max is here. Shout out to Mats. And you got Mice Elf is here. He said, "Do you have volatility indicator that you use? Do you have a volatility indicator?"
I don't use one. What's a good one that you recommend myself? Like, there's a volatility oscillator, but there's a couple different ones. Let me know in the chat.
Yeah. Superfan says FWIW, vibe coding is actually pretty amazing. Not the name, but me and the guys have not needed to write 100% of the code in months. AI is very good at this. Yeah, I mean 100%. Like, I agree. Use AI for absolutely everything. I mean, I use it for everything. There's not I can't if you're living in 2025 and you're using Google, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, someone said the other day, I got to Google it. I was like, just what? I was like shocked.
Well,
but yes.
I was gonna say Google actually incorporates AI into their responses.
Do they?
Yeah, into their responses. But I agree with you. Like, I use ChatGPT. The other day I was cooking a steak again on the air fryer, and I was like, I forgot how to do it. ChatGPT walked me through it. So but yeah, and to Superfan's point here, look, vibe coding is a skill, dude. AI prompting is a skill. And so the first time I was introduced to AI was at my last digital marketing job in 2022. And I'll tell you, man, like at first it was a nuisance to kind of use AI to help with content and all these things, right? But you get good at coding, and it comes down to like just being able to communicate what you want at the end of the day. If you're good at that, then you're going to be good at being able to prompt. And so shout out to the vibe coders, because it is a skill set. 100%. I agree with this.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think vibe coding is absolutely awesome. I think we need a name change, though. I think we need a name change. I don't know. Maybe it'll grow. I mean, maybe it's just new. There's a lot of names in crypto where I'm just like, ugh. Like tokenomics. When I first heard that, I cringed, but now I use it on a daily basis, right? So, but yeah, so maybe that'll happen for me. Myself says, I'm from SoCal. Oh shit, Southern Cali. Shout out to you, my friend. But currently enjoying the east coast of Appalachia. Where's that?
Appalachia. So the mountain, actually, Appalachia goes all the way up to upstate New York, all the way, I think, furthest south it goes to Georgia. I would love to go to Appalachia hiking someday, but there's so many different trails. Like, crazy people have done that entire trail though, from Georgia to all the way to upstate New York.
You walk it?
Yes, hike it.
That's insane.
Obviously camp and stuff like that, but
yeah. Take breaks. Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's not me. I like the couch. I'll watch it on YouTube though. But but yeah, man, and that is your roll call for today. We appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call, guys. And if you're someone who just listens to the show, because there's a ton of you, make roll call. I just learned that YouTube changes its algorithm. So the more comments, if you guys wouldn't mind helping us out, the more comments, the better. Really help us out. Even when it's over and you guys maybe come back and maybe you want to rewatch something, we do have, we are now doing timestamps. A lot of you guys were asking for that. Now we have timestamps in pretty much every one of our videos. So definitely want to check that out. If you're just looking for a part in the show, I'd really go through and make sure they are perfect. So definitely check the timestamps out. And if you wouldn't mind dropping some comments, even if it's like a yo or whatever, it would really help us kind of push. Right now is a hard time for YouTube content creators because the views are just not there, but we are signing new partners every day, so it is something that is absolutely amazing, and that just shows you that a lot of people are just seeing the people aren't here, but when they come back, we're the ones that are going to win, right? With the shows that are consistent on a daily basis, they are going to win. Consistency is everything, and it's really awesome to kind of have people see that. But yeah, man. All right, we're going to be getting joined by the guys over at Artura any minute now. But let's kind of dive into what Artura is. We dig into it every day, but Artura, these guys are building a leverage trading platform on Hemi. We talk about it, right? So why would you use maybe a on-chain, because we want to bring everyone on chain, right? Why would you use an on-chain leverage DEX instead of going to something like Binance or some of these other centralized leverage trading platforms?
So in terms of on-chain, I think that you feel like you're a little bit more in control, right? Versus a centralized perps platform. You could also have, different like newer tokens added because it's more like, what does the audience want, right? So like, for example, Hyperliquid would constantly like add new tokens quicker than, some of these centralized exchanges that had perps platforms. And that goes for something specific, like with Artura would be, okay, now we can trade these Bitcoin fungibles that are becoming more and more popular in a leverage environment, right? A perps and leverage environment. So obviously using perps and leverage, there's that, risk factor of, in terms of, how much, like how experienced are you and all those things, but you can, really benefit from it if you know what you're doing. And so that's why we're kind of started that educational series with these traders that have experience and some tips and tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. For me though, I don't like going to centralized. I don't like sending my crypto to centralized exchanges. Every time I do, even if it's just like a quick bridge when USDT to Bitcoin and then back out, I feel dirty doing it. I'd rather wrap my Bitcoin, put it on somewhere like Hemi or Merlin or somewhere else, and then be able to use it in the same way, right? Like I like to have full control of my assets in my wallet. And I know there's not a lot of people like me, but I'm on chain. I live on chain. I want to do everything in the future on chain. I want to buy my groceries on chain when that time comes. I really do. That's just, I don't want to use the old banking system. I don't want to use any of that. So for me, it's really important for these type of projects to be on chain. Stuff like Artura, who we're about to hang out with in a few minutes. But I just think that everything needs to be on chain. And for me, I would do leverage on chain before I do it anywhere else, even if there's liquidity and stuff like that. For me, it's more important to be on chain than anything else.
Well, and also there's opportunities that are given to community members and users with the on-chain perps dexes and stuff in terms of adding liquidity and kind of playing that market maker role a little bit, I guess you could say, because your liquidity is the one that's being utilized for it. But that doesn't happen on the centralized exchanges.
100%. But all right, so let's kind of get into our segment for today. So every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, we have the great guys from Artura join us today. We are lucky enough to have the man Instant. He joins us every single Tuesday. Bring him up. Instant, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going well.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, I think Marian maybe should be joining us in any minute, but he might be running late, so
no worries. We'll kick things off with you. First of all, how have you been? There was this big event in Dubai, and so the space seemed a little bit quiet, but that's like good for teams like yourselves that are building and looking for a mainnet launch very soon. Is everything coming along kind of how you guys imagined it to be? And do you feel like the overall market is getting to a point where things are aligning for your mainnet launch in terms of like the sentiment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think earlier this year, I think everybody was kind of like up in arms, or not up in arms, but I think like a little skeptical about, where we're heading. But no, I think we've seen like a lot of bullish news. Sorry, Marian said he's actually here. I'm not sure like what's going on. But
okay.
Yeah, I think we've seen like a lot of like bullish news. Like I've seen like a lot of people talking about how like the 4-year cycle is like now broken, and we could be like looking for a new narrative, I guess, to like, follow when it comes to these things. So, I think if you're like a Bitcoin platform, building for the long term. Like this is like kind of like I think we're starting to see like ideal market conditions for launching, which should be like pretty exciting for the summer.
Yeah, I think it is going to be an exciting summer. We haven't had an exciting summer for a couple years, right?
Yeah.
Really since DeFi summer. But you know, you mentioned something about like the 4-year cycle, right? And that's something we actually talked about today on the show. From what you've gathered, the information, research, etc. How do you feel like with TradFi coming in and the crypto space like evolving? How do you feel about the 4-year cycle? Do we still have that, or is it more of like this ongoing like aggressive industry, or robust industry that like there's always going to be opportunities that pop up every couple of months, or every 6 months, a year, etc. What's your perspective on that?
I mean, I think, I always, I'm going to defer to almost like Marian's philosophy here about like, just, I think like, react to kind of like whatever, the current situation is. I really don't know like what's going to happen. I think it's like still too early to say. I mean, I think everyone's, really excited about sort of like some bullish news and some price action on Bitcoin for the most part. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But I think like the conditions, at least for like the remainder of this year, I think they seem pretty favorable.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like the next 6 months are gonna be really bullish, but I'm always bullish, right? So that's nothing new. I'm really feeling it, bro. I really am. I think that the next I think we're gonna have a really bullish summer. But I have a few questions. So lately I've been doing airdrop hunting. Right. I feel like right now is the perfect time to really be digging in the new projects that potentially could do airdrops, right? And so one of the chains that I've been messing around with is Hemi, and you guys haven't officially announced that you guys will be launching on Hemi. So I've been kind of messing around. I have the Hemi wallet on my MetaMask now, and I'm just kind of messing around and digging in. I'm curious of your opinion on Hemi. Obviously you guys are gonna be a little biased for the fact that you guys will be launching there, but I've really had really good experiences so far.
Yeah. So we're about to launch on Hemi. I think like they did a really good job. Like their cap table and their investors are all like very solid like foundationally, and it's they still like there's their CEO is always on or their founder is always on like doing spaces and things like that. So it's like really easy to get in contact with the team. We do know that they're planning for some big things in the future. So like I would expect there to be like even more buzz on the chain probably coming up into the summer, kind of as we said. Can't get like too much word on that. But if you're like if you're like familiar with these L2s or like you haven't used them yet, I think like Hemi is like a great way to kind of get yourself like fresh in the ecosystem. It's not like too foreign. If you've used like any sort of like Ethereum layer 2 or any other like layer 2s, it's like it's very similar. You can use like all like the same wallets. So yeah, definitely Hemi is like a great way to like sort of like put your toes in the water and potentially earn some rewards for doing so.
That's it, right? Because I'm looking at things like Atlas Exchange, right? And I'm over here, I'm doing swaps on Atlas because it looks like it's going to be Hemi's like one of the dexes that are really kind of big with it. So I'm kind of using that and waiting for Artura to kind of launch to be able to play with that. But I think it's a really, really good time for especially our community to really kind of get involved with this stuff and start playing with it now. Because I kind of want to just make sure that I had everything down for when you guys launch. I was just making sure that Hemi is something that I enjoyed using, and it does very. I mean, it seems like every other EVM fast, right? So that's the best part about doing an EVM type of Bitcoin layer 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I guess that can kind of roll into one of the questions I had, and it's more of we've seen what last cycle Ethereum EVM have this really robust ecosystem. This cycle in the beginning is kind of started weird because even before this bull run, technically from a timeline cycle, like ordinals popped off and stuff like that. There was a slow kind of a slowdown from that, and then Solana took the spotlight. So like from Artura's perspective, why Bitcoin ecosystem? What made you guys decide, hey, this is the space to where we feel like we can really do something innovative and make changes?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I think we believe that this is where the future is. Previously, it obviously lacked some like scalable solutions like smart contract infrastructure, things like that. But I think like this is where sort of the L2s are changing it. I think like in general we've seen like a growing demand for like Bitcoin and like Bitcoin DeFi and these L2s. These past year, even like maybe a couple years at this point. It does feel like sort of like institutions and like nations are like really looking at Bitcoin, and if they're looking at getting into it more beyond just like hodling more, then it seems like DeFi infrastructure on Bitcoin is the next step. But I think like additionally too, like we're trying to bring like a very niche a niche product to the chain, and if you're using these L2s and like are a fan of Bitcoin and you want to see like the ecosystems on like Bitcoin grow, then I feel like you should be rooting for us or like other sort of like projects that are bringing users into Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%. Like right now, Bitcoin dominance 65%. It means Bitcoin is 65% of the entire crypto market. It's insane to think about because there's so many amazing projects, right? So with Bitcoin being 65%, though, that opens up a world of DeFi. That opens up a world of staking your Bitcoin and earning yield in these models and stuff like that. So obviously, there's going to be liquidity pools on Artura, which is going to be awesome because you're going to be able to earn potentially with your Bitcoin and stuff like that. But Bitcoin DeFi is something that is going to be very special, and you guys are going to be on the ground floor of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we're just trying to like look at it from like what's like the next logical step. Like if you're sort of like like Michael Saylor's strategy or whatever, and you're just like you're buying Bitcoin, and then there's probably going to be like a number of people, or like maybe in the future that are like, okay, like we have a bunch of Bitcoin, like now what do we do with it? And I think that's where like the next logical step of like Bitcoin DeFi sort of like follows in, and that's where we're trying to like meet the demand for before the wave really hits.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest signs as of late is, in my opinion, at least, is I'm starting to notice that Bitcoin Core developers are, this is what I'm getting from it, by the way, is you're starting to pay attention to the broader Bitcoin ecosystem, because they see how much effort is going into trying to make Bitcoin more scalable, or at least more useful, right? With the whole op return, removing limits. And yeah, you could say, okay, that's layer one. It starts there, right? And so it starts there because you have to, and Bitcoin's been so constrained the past, however long, right? 10 years plus or whatever, that now they see, okay, builders want to come here. There's money being invested. Let's kind of start to help the builders out a little bit. And that was never the approach that, from what I've heard. And so I think the future for Bitcoin's ecosystem is very bright. Whether you're using an EVM tech stack, another UTXO tech stack, as long as you're contributing and trying to plug in to the mother chain, I think that that's where the success lies. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much in full agreement there. I think like we're still like, I know we always say that in this industry that like we're still early, but like this is like, I think we're truly early in when it comes to like a big wave like flooding into into DeFi and Bitcoin DeFi for that matter. It's going to start at the high level with some like degen projects and like institutions, and then like ultimately I think that the ecosystem will fill out, and that's where like I think that this is the wave that we're just starting to see.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. I want to take it back to Artura real quick. So I have a question for you. So what can traders expect from Artura when it comes to gas fees, speed, and reliability, especially compared to other leverage trading platforms? So what do you think? What are you guys seeing from? I know you guys are obviously testing it on Hemi right now. What are you guys seeing in the signs of gas fees, speed, and reliability?
Yeah, so I mean, like we tried to make, the perp dex is essentially modeled after, all the top perp dexes, out there. We tried to like emulate all the sort of like the best parts of the infrastructure that we like from like the platforms we like, such as like Drift Protocol or Hyperliquid. We sort of use that as like the bar in terms of like trying to emulate them, but on Bitcoin as well as we can on this chain. So in terms of like execution prices, we're like always trying to bring this number down. Obviously, I think like right now we're looking at probably like under 2 seconds. However, like we're trying to bring this to like almost near instantaneous. So I think like on testnet, these are like the numbers we're seeing, but like as mainnet obviously goes, that'll be brought down. And also in terms of like gas costs and things like that, like it'll be very similar to like, other like, ETH chains as well, where it's like, a fraction of like, a typical cost of like a transaction, maybe like a couple cents, somewhere around there. Yeah. And then in terms of like reliability, like obviously like, we're a DEX. So, we're not doing any like the shady stuff in the background that you might expect, like fully decentralized. You have like full custody of your funds. So there's like no middlemen. And yeah, ultimately just trying to like make sure that like we have our audits finished up. We'll announce those soon. Trying to make it as secure and as like reliable as a platform as we can.
Love it, man. Instant once the transactions instant. I mean, you hit it there out the park, man. But yeah, 100%.
That's one of your cringy things that you're not just talking about. No, but so we got the heads up that Marian's not going to be able to make it, but we appreciate your time, Instant, with giving us the updates, the community, the updates. I know there's going to be opportunities for the community to add liquidity, earn passively, and things like that. I guess like wanted to give you like 10-15 seconds to kind of get a last message out there before we let you go.
Yeah, DeFi summer. It will be here. It is coming. I can promise you guys all that. So that's all I can say for now.
Love it. The last DeFi summer was 6 weeks. Can we get it longer than 6 weeks?
I think we got a couple months in us at least. So we're 2/3 of the way.
Love it.
Sounds
love it.
Good, man.
All right, Instant. Well, appreciate you, sir. As always, we will see you next week.
Yep, appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
All right, take it easy.
See you, buddy. All right. That was fun as always. Really appreciate you guys checking out Artura.finance. Check them out. But I still have a bunch of more things if you're cool with it. Pretty much the topic of today, we really didn't get into it. So I really want to kind of push this forward. So Bitcoin Core has officially announced that the upcoming release will remove the long-standing 80-byte limit on the Opportune field. The change introduced in a pull request 32359 by developer Peter Todd will remove the 80-byte limit on Opportune and allow multiple Opportune outputs per transaction by default. With the limit gone, runes can now store larger metadata, more complex data structures, and bigger batched mints or transfers. So that's for runes. So I was looking into alkanes. Will this help alkanes? And for alkanes, it's useful, but it's not game changing. Alkanes already don't rely on Opportune the same way that runes does. So I know you have a huge opinion on this. I would love to kind of dig into what you're thinking when you first heard that this actually got passed. I was shocked, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't, because I knew that it wouldn't be like a huge change in code and all that stuff, right? Well, at least that's what they were stating. But so from a philosophical standpoint, I love this because of exactly what I said during the Artura segment there, that it seems like the Bitcoin devs are starting to see the efforts put in and the want and the kind of passion from these builders. Yes, so some of these, old school Bitcoiners, the laser eyes, some of these hardcore maxis might say, well, they're trying to shit coin up the Bitcoin. No, well, there's already assets here. There's fungible tokens and runes. Whether you like how they work now or not, they still are being traded in this perception, right? But the biggest thing for me, it seems like there's a changing of guard happening, right? The old heads seem to be losing a bit of their power, and I think this is good for evolution. And you're gonna have some people on both sides of the thing here, but you have to realize that if there's a security budget at stake as well, right? Like you have to figure out ways for the miners to continually be incentivized, and also when there's investment in play, evolution and tech, it's always going to evolve if there's a possibility for it to evolve. If there's no possibility for it to evolve, you can't evolve. But there's possibilities here, and I think that's why it's continually moving forward. And this isn't new. I mean, SegWit was added in 2020? When was it? I forgot when that was added. And then you have Taproot and all that stuff. And
like 2017, 2018 for Taproot, and 2021 was I'm sorry, SegWit was in 17, I think, or 17, 18, and then Taproot was in 2020 and then 2021.
Yeah, and it increased the block size data, right? Like it went from something to like 4 megabytes, I think, or whatever. And so like it's going to continually happen. And I think it's weird that they're just the way that they try to fight it. But I'm happy for this. I think we're going to see some improvements with the Runes protocols in terms of airdropping, more flexibility in terms of being able to do more things in one transaction with Runes, which to me is exciting, especially with these other innovative protocols like BitVM. And, I know Citria was one of the projects that kind of really got the attention for this. But now they're going to be able to do more things within OpReturn with Runes, and they're already testing utilizing Runes in those type of virtual machine environments, even if it is off chain for the computation. That's what we got to do because we don't have the on-chain computation, and we're just growing is my point, and I love it.
Yeah, 100%. And like Peter Todd, right? Like he apparently has a lot to say with Bitcoin Core. I mean, you don't see pull requests get pushed this quickly. I mean, from my, 5 years in Bitcoin, I'm shocked by a pull request getting pushed this quickly, especially. And they're saying the next update. I mean, it could take, a month or so for the next update to come through. But on the next update, this is gone. And this is huge, but a lot of the maxis are kind of pushing back and saying this is a slippery slope. This is the maxis are so funny on the sense of they are what they hate. So TradFi in the beginning they hate change. They didn't want change. When they cut the fee for stock buying for like what Robinhood basically forced them to do, they hated that because now the little guy can get in, right? And it seems like Bitcoin Core is kind of the same way here. They're stuck in their ways, very similar to everything they hated. And now you're kind of seeing you're seeing that Robinhood moment where they're forced to change because this is what everyone wants.
Yeah, it seems to be this is what everyone wants, but you also have to think about whenever when was the block size wars happening? 2017, right? So Ethereum's infrastructure was being built out at that time.
Yeah.
This is our idea. This is how it's going to work. There's going to be staking. There's going to be DeFi. It was speculative, but it was an idea, and it played out pretty well to how they painted the picture.
Yeah.
And in 2017, I don't think you had investors the same way you have investors today because they've seen the DeFi ecosystem build out and how it can benefit. I think Ethereum is suffering right now, not because of DeFi, not because of all that stuff. It's suffering because tokenomics and they switched from proof of stake work to proof of stake. They did so many changes and it's affecting them in a low volume environment, right? And the fact that they have infinity, max supply, same thing with Solana, which kind of scares me with Solana long term. But, with Bitcoin, you have 21 million. That's all you have. So I can't see how this wouldn't benefit, Bitcoin's supply and demand formula, right? Like, and so now you have investment capital that's coming in from every which angle. It wasn't happening in 2017 the same way. Oh, we want to invest this millions of dollars to scale Bitcoin. That wasn't happening. In fact, they were probably little investors maybe came in and they were probably convinced and they're like, just buy Bitcoin, at that time because it could break, it could do this. They're all about creating FUD about scaling Bitcoin. And so that's the difference I think that is occurring right now. And when you have capital, it's really hard to stop something that the capital is pushing behind. Really hard to stop it.
So do you think that Bitcoin Core got paid off here? Like, is that kind of
I'm not saying they got paid off, but I'm not saying they didn't either. No, I mean, I'm not look, that's not the statement I'm making. The statement that I'm making is that like there's institutions that really want to extend Bitcoin's use case. Right. And because of that, they've probably painted the picture to, some important people that, are connected to Bitcoin Core and said, hey, look, this makes sense.
Yeah.
The OpReturn thing, if you read exactly from Jameson Lopp and which he's just kind of, I think, for it. And then Peter Todd's reasoning and all that stuff, you won't be able to put what I just said to that necessarily, because they're breaking it down from you from a technical perspective. It's you know, allows people to utilize op return for more data storage, and instead of pushing it into another area that will bloat UTXO set, right? It's like, it's kind of hard to argue with that, but like somehow the maxis have figured out a way to do it, but it's not working. But you also have to understand that there's a lot of activity happening in these areas that weren't happening as much, you know, last cycle. You know, Counterparty was one of the only, I know, like, I think Rootstock's been building a while. Lightning has their own thing. But this past 2 years, there's been so many developer teams that have gone in trying to crack and saying, hey, if we have to build in the metadata area, if we have to build in the opportunity, we have to build in witness data, we're going to do that. We're going to figure something out. And I think that they've noticed this activity, right? And then they also notice the activity when it's discouraged, because when it's discouraged, like the mempool is empty, right? Sometimes, right? You got rid of BRC20s, then the mempool was kind of died, right? So we'll see how this helps with transaction activity, how it helps with development. But I think that it comes down to that. Is like you know, there's opportunities too. You know, that's a big thing.
It comes, 100%. It comes down to innovation, right? So we all want the same thing. We want what's best for Bitcoin, right? At the end of the day, we all just want to make sure that, you know, and there's two, people don't understand there's two different Bitcoins, right? There's Bitcoin, the coin, and there's Bitcoin, the chain, right? So on Ethereum, you have Ethereum, the chain, ETH is the token, right? On Bitcoin, Satoshi named them both Bitcoin. So it gets a little confusing, but we want what's best for the Bitcoin chain. Right. And what's best for the Bitcoin chain is to have transactions on the Bitcoin chain, because eventually, with the way the halving works, is there's eventually no more Bitcoin. So what's going to happen when that happens? Obviously, you know, we're 100 years away from that, but we do know that every 4 years we get closer and closer to that. And right now, the block reward is 3 Bitcoin, which is about $300,000. What happens when, you know, Bitcoin, maybe the price isn't up to $300,000 a coin next cycle, right? And potentially, you know, we have a dip back down to 300, and we're back in a situation where the miners maybe start taking their hash power offline because it's not worth it to them. We don't want to ever get to that point. We want more and more hash power to come online, because that is decentralization. The more decentralization we have, the better Bitcoin chain is. How do we get that to happen? We get fees happening on chain. We get people trading tokens on the best chain in the world, that is Bitcoin. We let Bitcoin become the cloud system that Amazon is, but a decentralized version. I want to eventually be able to put pictures of people on there that'll last forever, right? So I don't ever have to, you know, worry about, you know, not paying my $2 Google fee or whatever it is, right? Like I forget to pay it, or, you know, I pass away. My pictures will always be on this decentralized cloud system, which is Bitcoin. And it could be for anything, right? It could be a contract in the future. Everything eventually will be on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cloud storage system. I've said this for a long time, and I'm willing to pay the fee to put everything on chain, and I want it on the most centralized chain, which is Bitcoin, which again returns to pays the miners, and it's a win-win for everybody. Just let it happen.
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much everything you said there. And what ends up happening too is, it's funny because you know, right now they're the hardcore laser eyes and maxis are trying to convince everybody to start using Bitcoin knots software, right? So because Bitcoin Core, they're like so against it. I think it moved the knot software usage maybe moved up from 3% to 5% total. But I think they're going to quickly realize that when there's opportunities to, you know, make more, or they're never going to win that battle, because there's more people that have opportunity to make versus what they can afford to convince, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, you know, all these node operators to switch software, right? And let's say that you do that, right? Let's say that, like, so for the audience, that's like, what does this mean, switching from Bitcoin Core to Bitcoin knots? It means basically Bitcoin knots cannot that you can choose to, you know, first you can set your own data limit of what you can show, recognize, I guess, as data in the op return. They could set it to like 40 bytes or whatever. And then also you can kind of, it's basically a way to censor data, right? That's being added to Bitcoin files and all that stuff. But then what you end up having is stuff that's completely unprunable, right? Meaning that, let's say hypothetically, which I don't think this will ever happen, but you convince the entire like 95% of people to use Bitcoin knots, then you wouldn't be able to see a lot of the stuff that's on stored in the op return or whatever. Let's say they try to censor witness data to ordinals and all this, right? But then you end up getting people creating protocols like stamps, which is like non-prunable, right? And then they're stuck with that with Bitcoin knots or Bitcoin Core. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either way, I agree with you. It's going to happen. And so just kind of let innovation happen, but also fight back on the stuff that is like serious potentially threats, you know what I mean? Like and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't want to add OpCat if it, like, let's say it gave us the ability to have the most amazing on-chain computation, just like Ethereum and AMMs and all this stuff. But then there was a good chance that like an exploit would happen. I would say, no way. You know what I mean? Like, or even like a slight chance that an exploit could happen. No way, because you don't want to risk that. But this isn't one of those situations.
Yeah, 100%, man. The innovation is here. It's on Bitcoin because that's where the money is, right? But I'm really excited for the future of Bitcoin, and I feel like Bitcoin DeFi on chain is going to be huge. But then you have stuff like Arch that is building, right? And if Arch is successful, maybe we don't go down this route. Maybe we don't go this route. Keep updating Bitcoin with OpCat and stuff like that. Maybe it's seen as rolling up these transactions is a better way of doing it. And at the end of the day, you are feeding the miners, right? The miners are eating from the fact that the Arch is rolling up transactions, and if the Arch is successful, we do know there's going to be copycats. There might have 3, 4, 5, 6 chains all rolling up on Bitcoin, which that will be the mempool will never be empty. And that's exciting. It's exciting to think that there is ways around Bitcoin Core, but Bitcoin Core, they're going to have to stop fighting every battle. Like it's kind of a thing with the kid, with like a parent with kids, right? You don't want to fight every battle. Sometimes you just got to let them do it, but then you kind of you make sure you stop the bad shit. But if you fight them on every little thing, it's just going to get old for you and the child, right? Same thing here. If Bitcoin Core keeps fighting every little thing.
You mean Bitcoin maxis, not Bitcoin Core, because Bitcoin Core is actually the ones that put this PR through.
No, they did, but they are fighting pretty much everything else. Like you could say, that guy from what's his name? The guy who eats cats.
Luke Dash Jr.
Luke Dash Jr.
He got locked out. He got locked
Did
out.
He?
Yeah, because of the way he was talking in the GitHub. Not was it? Is it? It's one of the developer chats. Yeah, they were basically like blocking a lot of people out, and he was one of them. And I mean, like, how is that guy still relevant? Like, he eats cats.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the cat. All right, let's end the show on that right there. We appreciate you guys, man. 179 of you guys hanging out with us on YouTube and X, not to mention everyone on Rumble, Twitch, and Abstract. Shout out to you guys, and then Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys who watch every single day.
Absolutely. And if you guys are traveling back from Dubai, safe travels to all of you guys. I know a lot of people are traveling still back. And for the people listening, we appreciate you guys so much. If you could check out our partners, we would greatly appreciate that. Our latest partner is Sats Terminal. Sats Terminal is an aggregator DEX for runes, and soon going to be supporting alkanes, and we'll see about BRC20s. BRC 2.0 is right around the corner. But with Sats Terminal, you're going to have the most liquidity available. They are an aggregator, so they pull from everywhere available. You're going to get the best deal possible with them, guys. So if you utilize Sats Terminal, you connect your wallet to it, you automatically get, I believe, 1,000 Amber, which is their point system. There's definitely alpha attached to that, guys. We'll have some more alpha for you guys, probably later this week with Sats Terminal, maybe next week as well. But stay tuned, and we're super excited about what they have to offer. They obviously have a lot of interest. Draper Labs is kind of backing them as well, and so we'll see what they are going to be able to put out in the future, as well as, like, if you are in the space, maybe your analytics dashboard or something, you can have your own custom swap provided by them. So it's like a B2B situation where you can earn as well. So super excited about Sats Terminal. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace for the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is some Bitcoin, a Bitcoin wallet, and 6 Bitcoin blocks, and you can start placing bets right away. You can start off with their Blitz markets, guys. That is a 10-minute market that you get to pick a price for Bitcoin, Solana, or BNB to, if you think it's going to go up or down, that gets locked in. I recommend waiting till you get closer to that 1 minute countdown mark. And then you get an additional 10 minutes to see if you were correct or not. And it's a quick market, so you should get paid out quickly right after that if you win. Also, just earn points there as well. You know what points equal to. So excited about what they have for the future for their community. You're going to be able to create your own markets, earn 1% of the total volume with that. They utilize the ICP and Bitcoin tech stacks together, similar to like what Odin.fun is doing. That ecosystem is going to continually grow. And I truly believe the Bitcoin ecosystem is the biggest thing coming out of the cycle. You see a lot of tech stacks and chains kind of plugging into Bitcoin. So make sure you go to betbtc.win to learn about these guys. And then Emblem Vault is your interoperability tool for ordinals. You're going to be able to jump your node monks, your puppets, and frogs as well from Bitcoin layer 1 to Abstract, Merlin, Bitcoin layer 2 to Base, eventually Solana. They have a really cool AI agent hustle that you can utilize to trade on Solana right now. Eventually, they're going to add Bitcoin support to that. So it's going to help you vault your ordinals to bridge them in different ecosystems and environments as well. And don't forget about their TGE for their runes called Emblem Founder Vaults, which you can actually purchase the NFTs in a pre-sale right now on OpenSea. And once we get close to that September TGE date, you will get instructions on how to get those runes into your Bitcoin wallet. But right now you can use Agent Hustle to kind of trade on Solana, right? He's an alpha AI assistant, and can find kind of some of the hot pump fun plays. Eventually you're going to be able to use the conditional trading with him. Say, hey, look, I want to get into Solana on a 20% pullback and then sell at the next 30% pull up. So that's something that would probably help the traders that aren't as disciplined. So that's coming as well. You can go to emblem.vision to learn more there. And then Artura Finance, we had those guys on, or we had Instant on earlier, and these guys are going to be launching on Hemi Bitcoin Layer 2, backed by Binance Labs very soon, and as well as Botonic. So make sure you're paying attention to them. There's going to be opportunities to kind of have that usage add up for you in a point system of some sort as well. You can add liquidity to help the chain or the protocol there and earn passive income that way, as well as trade synthetic Bitcoin fungibles, which I think are going to be the highlight of Q4. I really do think these runes are going to really thrive. I know it's been up and down for runes, but there's a lot of infrastructure coming, guys. That whole op return limit removal too could really change things up as well. So make sure that you guys head over to artura.finance, learn how you can get in, join their Discord. There's a lot of educational videos that we are actually creating with some experienced traders as well. Head over to artura.finance to learn more today. And then Fluid Tokens. We have been testing out their airdrop tool for runes, and BRC20s, I believe, will be added as well. Very smooth. Tested it out yesterday, but they were the first to offer retail staking vaults for Bitcoin Layer 1, guys. They started building on Cardano. They're still building there, but they have made huge waves in the Bitcoin ecosystem. They're actually building over in San Francisco right now at the Draper University. So, proud of these guys because they are just constantly like grinding to add more value to their brand, to their product suite, and everything. There's going to be an unlock for Doggo to the Moon the closer we get to the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Vegas. Make sure you guys are paying attention, and eventually they will be able to go over their Aquarium bridge. That's going to bridge from Bitcoin to Cardano and back and forth, and you're going to be able to bridge your FLDT rune, which is back to their FLDT Cardano token, back and forth. And they're going to have a DEX on the Cardano side with liquidity, so you guys can go in and out of that as well. Super excited for what this team has. If you are a founder of an ordinal collection, or you etched the rune and you have an established community and you want a staking vault, go to their Discord. they told us to send you guys directly over there because they have a team waiting for you guys to kind of, guide y'all into how to create a staking vault for your community. Super excited about them. Go visit fluidtokens.com and you can learn about how to get, integrated into their community there. And Tokyo Wallet is the smart wallet for the Bitcoin ecosystem. You can actually swap runes right now on their smart wallet. They partnered with Sats Terminal to make that possible for you guys. So you're still getting that best liquidity, that best price within the wallet. But their wallet is completely built for the best UI UX experience for you guys. They started with mobile because they realized that, they learned from the Web 2 side. 70% of users use mobile for Web 2. Why would that change for Web 3? So that experience is going to be a multi-chain smart wallet experience for you guys. You can download their app at the Apple App Store. I encourage you guys to do that. Give us some feedback. If there's some features you want added or changed, let us know. We'll let the team know. If you are an Android user, you can download on the Google Play store as well. But onboarding is going to be huge here. I think they're going to have a huge opportunity, kind of like, how with those mobile apps like Robinhood and stuff like that, where you can just onboard with your, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and get into Bitcoin, then get into those secondary assets as well. So make sure you guys visit tokyo.io to learn more and download their product. Also, we're doing a Blitz Spaces starting this Thursday with them. So make sure you guys are joining. We're going to kind of do something in the morning. So we'll be starting our live streams a little earlier. That will be next week, though, where we have topics with builders in the Bitcoin ecosystem, from DEXs to staking to stable coins. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. Thursday, we're going to kick it off with DEXs. So that's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern. And so we'll give you guys some updates on that, on where to join, the link, all that great stuff. It's going to be exciting, guys, because this is a project you want to learn about, but not just them, all the builders. We're bringing them together, kind of like how we used to do our Saturday builder spaces. So visit tokyo.io to learn more there. And then Merlin Chain is utilizing AI, and they are trying to expand the Bitcoin ecosystem utilizing AI, right? So they have their Wizard version 0.3 that's right around the corner. We know a lot of projects that are building on Merlin Chain, some really big innovative ones that are going to be fun. We're going to be doing some live stuff on our live stream, and you guys are going to be able to participate because we're going to do some chances for you guys to win some cool stuff. I'll leave it there because there's a lot of information we got to get out to you guys before we dive deeper into that. But as for Merlin Chain, you're going to be able to use their AI to navigate through the chain, but also in the future, hopefully help you guys kind of get in possibly some positions and stuff like that as well. If you do want to help secure the chain with a proof of stake, you can utilize your Merlin tokens and earn 15% APR for staking there and helping secure the chain. Also, if you would like to swap for Doggo to the Moon, you can go to merlinswap.org. They have a really strong liquidity pool there. So, Merlin Chain, pay attention to them, guys. Pay attention. They're doing huge things. 2 weeks ago, they were accepted into the Wrap Bitcoin DAO. Last week, they partnered with Say ecosystem, with MBTC. They're going to get stronger and stronger in terms of the TVL, the value of the brand, and the value of that MBTC wrapped Bitcoin there. So make sure you guys go to merlinchain.io and dive in deep there. And lastly, but not least, is our integrated partners in Foxy AI. We're going to be doing a live stream here in about 2 hours. If you guys are good at first-person shooters, or you're not good like me, join. You can, all you have to have is a ported wallet, right? So one of the Bitcoin wallets that they support, a Phantom wallet or a MetaMask, and you can join a clan, and we go at it for about 45 minutes. And it's a fun time. So 3 p.m. Eastern. Watch out for our X account. We will drop the link for you guys to join. They also have a metaverse that they're building called the Bitverse, so stay tuned to that. And then Ordinal Hive is an aggregator ordinal marketplace for Bitcoin layer 1 and layer 2. And they have some really cool trader tools as well, like live mempool insights, where you can grab some mispriced ordinals. It sucks for the people that misprice them, but it doesn't suck for you. And they have those tools for you guys to see what is possibly left there for you guys to grab. So we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners. It really does help us a lot, and we are really thankful for you guys for helping us out there.
Yeah, and real quick, what we're on a hive too. Let's just say you are the guy who mispriced it. You have an opportunity to, before anyone notices, to jump in and put that gas higher, right? So you can actually go, basically snipe your own transaction with the correct amount that you were trying to get, right? So there's opportunities there as well to kind of snipe it back before someone takes it from you, and then maybe you lose a few $100, but you don't lose a few thousand. So if you do end up making a mistake, go over to Ordinal Hive. They might be able to help you with their sniper tool as well. So, all right, but let's if you guys have a few more seconds, wouldn't mind checking out our website. That is onchainrevolution.io. We have some of the best articles, guys. Articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you haven't checked out the articles yet, you need to. I mean, they're really going to help you kind of educate yourself and push forward in this ecosystem. We have a brand new article that just dropped today. Bitcoin approaches 100K, institutional momentum and treasury strategies fuel the surge. So definitely check out this one if you haven't yet. And if you know someone that just entering the space, send them to our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. If you guys need a VPN, we have NordVPN. It's I use it every single day. I have it on every device in my house. My kids' phones have it. Their iPads have it. Everyone. I got more than 5 devices. You can do up to 5 devices with one VPN. I'm probably going to buy a second one because I want every device in my house to have that NordVPN, guys. It's like $3 a month, so it's not really expensive at all if you use our link. It's $10 a month if you don't use our link, but get the 70% off coupon. Click this right here. Get it. This is something, this isn't even an ad. This is something I want all of our users to protect themselves. And if you do think you have malware on your computer, they have an amazing malware detector that you can just press. It'll access your computer, check everything out, and let you know that you're good. That peace of mind is really amazing, because I felt like I was attacked, but then I looked and I was good to go. So definitely check out everything here on the site. If you guys are going to Bitcoin at 2025 Las Vegas, we're about 20 days away. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, but do not wait anymore, guys. Get your tickets today. Get them through our link. Make sure you're using our link because it helps the show. And if you are going, they are getting pretty pricey. But if you wait any longer, you might as well not even go. But definitely check our tickets out here. And if you guys need merch for that event or any event, click our store tab. That'll take you to our third-party Shopify, and you guys can check out hats, jackets, hoodies, everything. And if you guys want something to add it to the store, just let us know. We can pretty much add anything for you. But can you add my PFP? Sure, we would say sure, and we will add that for you probably within a couple of days. So definitely check out everything we have, because we'll probably have what you want anyway, especially if you're in Ordinals. And we're going to be adding a whole bunch of other stuff very soon. So definitely check everything out. The Ordinal Revolution shirts are gone. The hats are gone. Everything from Ordinal Revolution is gone. So if you do have one, you're an OG, and you are the only ones. That is a very select few of them that has been sold. So we appreciate every single one of you guys who hold the Ordinal Revolution shirts, hats, hoodies, and everything else. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.